There he was, a young shepherd, facing a giant who terrorized an entire army. David had only a sling and unwavering faith, while Goliath seemed invincible. How did a simple boy manage to challenge a warrior feared by all? What happened on that battlefield that would change history forever? Imagine the scene. Thousands of men, paralyzed by fear, watching a monster rising like a threatening shadow. Meanwhile, David, bold and determined, decides that he cannot remain silent. But why would he risk everything? What moved his heart? What many don't know is that the real battle wasn't just fought on the field, but within the mind of each soldier. Does courage come out of nowhere, or is it forged in moments of adversity? Let's explore how faith can be a powerful weapon capable of overcoming the greatest challenges. Stay with me, because this story isn't just about a boy and a giant. It's about how sometimes the smallest among us have the potential to change the destiny of a people. Let's dive together into this epic narrative. When we think about the story of David and Goliath, it's fascinating to consider the backdrop in which this narrative unfolds. We're talking about a period when the Israelites and the Philistines were in constant rivalry, a struggle that was not just territorial but also cultural and religious. The Philistines were known for their advanced military organization, well-armed warriors, and the use of combat tactics that challenged the Israelites, who, in turn, were a people seeking unification under strong leadership. David's figure emerges in this scenario as a symbol of hope and resistance. David, a young shepherd, was not the typical warrior one might imagine facing a giant like Goliath. However, he stood out at a time when the need for a leader was crucial for the Israelite people. The context in which David became king is marked by a series of internal and external conflicts. The Israelites were divided, and the lack of a charismatic leader made the situation even more critical. Therefore, the story of David is not just about a duel. It's about the struggle for identity and the search for a greater purpose amidst chaos. Moreover, the practice of warfare at that time involved not just physical strength but also a spiritual dimension. The Israelites believed that victory in battle was a reflection of divine blessing. The clash between David and Goliath, therefore, also represents this spiritual struggle, where the faith and determination of a young shepherd stand against the brute force and military might of the Philistines. The contrast between the two sides is palpable and establishes a powerful dynamic that resonates even today. The armor of the two combatants also reflects the cultural context of the time. While Goliath was equipped with heavy armor and an imposing spear, David opted for a more astute approach, using his sling and 5 stones. This not only subverts expectations of how a battle should be fought, but also symbolizes a strategy that values cunning and faith over strength and military might. David's choice of simple but effective weapons is indicative that true strength can come from unexpected places. Finally, the narrative of David and Goliath leads us to reflect on the role of leaders in times of crisis. David was not just a warrior. He would become a king who unified Israel and brought a new era of hope. The story that begins with a young boy facing a giant teaches us that, in moments of adversity, courage and determination can prevail, shaping the future of a nation. As we delve into the narrative of David and Goliath, we begin to realize that it is rich in symbolism and themes that transcend time. The battle between good and evil is one of the central issues that arise. David, representing good, faith, and justice, faces Goliath, who symbolizes oppression, brute force, and arrogance. The clash between these two characters is not just physical. It is a battle of ideals, where morality and ethics are tested on the battlefield. Another recurring theme is the relationship between faith and brute force. David, standing before Goliath, does not rely on heavy armor or powerful weapons, but rather on his faith in God and his skills as a shepherd. This unwavering confidence is a crucial element in the narrative. It teaches us that often true strength lies in faith and conviction, not in physical strength or military power. In a world that values strength and domination, David's story reminds us that true victory can come from a courageous and faith-filled heart. Another powerful symbolism is that of the stone and the sling. The stone, which would be seen as an insignificant weapon against a giant, becomes the instrument of victory. This makes us reflect on how small and seemingly weak things can have a significant impact. The sling, a simple weapon, represents cunning and intelligence over brutality. It is a reminder that, in life, it is often the small things that make the difference and that wisdom can overcome strength. Unexpected heroism is also a central theme. David was a young shepherd, someone who did not fit the stereotype of a hero. His courage in facing Goliath challenges our perceptions of what it means to be a hero. The story teaches us that true heroes can be found in the most unlikely places, and that courage is not the absence of fear but the willingness to face it. David's narrative is an invitation for all of us to seek heroism in our own lives, even when the situation seems unfavorable. Finally, the story of David and Goliath also makes us reflect on the role of leadership. David, by defeating Goliath, not only becomes a hero but also an inspiring leader. His faith and courage galvanized the Israelite people and encouraged them to fight for their beliefs and values. This leads us to question what it means to be a leader in difficult times and how courage and conviction can serve as inspiration for those around us. The story of David and Goliath has transcended time and space, leaving a legacy that manifests in various forms of art, literature, and popular culture. From its biblical origins, this narrative has been reinterpreted and reimagined over the centuries. The concept of a David facing a Goliath has become a powerful metaphor to describe the struggle between the weak and the strong, the oppressed and the oppressor, in contexts far beyond the battlefield. In literature, the story has inspired writers and poets to explore the themes of courage and faith. Authors from various eras have used the figure of David as a symbol of resistance and hope. For example, in times of oppression and injustice, the narrative is often evoked to encourage those who feel small in the face of immense challenges. This resilience of the human spirit is one of the reasons the story continues to resonate in our contemporary society. In popular culture, the expression David versus Goliath is often used in sports, political, and social contexts. The idea of a small competitor challenging a giant resonates with many who face adversity in their lives. This metaphor is a reminder that, regardless of the situation, it is possible to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles through courage and determination. It urges us to believe that, like David, we all have the capacity to stand up against the odds. Religious interpretations of the story are also varied. For many, David represents divine intervention and the assurance that faith can triumph over the forces of evil. This spiritual view enriches the narrative, making it a reference point for discussions about morality, ethics, and the nature of leadership. The account of David and Goliath is often used in sermons and religious teachings to inspire faith and courage in congregations. Beyond the religious perspective, the narrative is also analyzed from a secular angle. Philosophers and scholars have explored the social and political implications of the story, questioning how the struggle between the weak and the strong manifests in contemporary power dynamics. This critical analysis leads us to reflect on the importance of justice, equity, and the fight against oppression in our societies, showing that the message of David and Goliath remains relevant today. When I think of the story of David and Goliath, a series of deep and universal themes come to mind. One of the first that catches my attention is the struggle between good and evil. David, the young shepherd, represents purity, faith, and determination, while Goliath, the Philistine giant, symbolizes oppression, brute force, and arrogance. This dichotomy is not just a physical battle but a metaphor for the struggles we face in our daily lives. How many times have we stood before a Goliath, a situation that seems impossible to overcome? The story teaches us that with faith and courage, we can challenge even the most intimidating obstacles. Another central theme that I cannot fail to mention is the contrast between faith and brute force. David did not rely on heavy armor or sophisticated weapons. He stood before Goliath with only his sling and 5 smooth stones. This makes me reflect on how, in many moments of our lives, we trust more in physical strength or appearances than in faith and intelligence. David's choice to rely on his skill, his relationship with God, and his courage rather than being intimidated by the giant's appearance is a powerful reminder that true strength often comes from within. Unexpected heroism is another fascinating aspect of this narrative. David was not a trained warrior but a simple shepherd. His victory over Goliath not only surprised the Philistines but also the Israelites themselves. This makes me think about how many times we underestimate the people around us. The potential for great deeds may be hidden in unexpected places. Sometimes, a person who seems ordinary may have extraordinary strength within them, just waiting for the opportunity to shine. This idea that heroism can come from the least expected places is an inspiring message. And of course, we cannot ignore the symbolism of the stone and the sling. These simple instruments become powerful symbols of how the humble can prevail over the grand. The stone, which seems so insignificant compared to Goliath's armor, represents David's faith and determination. The sling, an instrument of a shepherd, symbolizes the idea that the tools we already have are often enough to achieve great deeds. This teaches us that we don't always need to seek something external. Sometimes, the solution to our problems is already within our grasp. Finally, I see the story of David and Goliath as a deep reflection on leadership and courage. David, even before becoming king, shows leadership by taking responsibility and confronting Goliath. This action galvanizes an entire nation and changes the course of history. This makes me reflect on how true leaders are not those who seek power, but those who, even in moments of adversity, take responsibility and lead by example. The story of David and Goliath invites us to be leaders in our own lives, to have the courage to face our giants, and to believe that, with faith and determination, we can change our world.